They left quietly, not with screams, not with slammed doors, just absence. One day their laughter filled the room. The next it was only the echo of my own breathing. I remember standing there, staring at the same walls, wondering how something so alive could die without a sound. I didn't beg, I didn't chase, but God, I wanted to. You think strength is loud. It isn't. Strength is swallowing words that burn your throat. Strength is nodding when your chest is collapsing, and strength is saying, I understand, when what you really feel is betrayal tearing through your ribs. They left when I was bleeding. They left when I was building. They left when I needed one hand. Just one. I won't lie to you. It broke me. There were nights I sat in the dark, staring at nothing, replaying conversations like a prisoner of memory. Every forever sounded like a joke. Every promise felt like rusted metal in my mouth. I questioned my worth. I questioned my voice. I questioned whether I was ever enough. But pain is a brutal teacher. It doesn't comfort you. It trains you. You see, when they walked away, they took the noise with them, the distractions, the illusions. What they left behind was silence. And in that silence, I met myself. The version of me that doesn't beg. The version of me that doesn't need applause. The version of me that builds in the dark. You're hurting right now, aren't you? You're pretending you're fine. You smile, you post, you function. But when the room is empty, your chest feels heavy. Like you're carrying words you never got to say. Listen to me. Let them leave. Because when they left, they removed the weight that was slowing you down. They thought you would collapse. They thought you would crawl back. Instead, you leveled up, not loudly, not publicly, but internally. Your standards rose, your discipline sharpened, your silence grew powerful. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped overextending. You stopped shrinking to make others comfortable. They left, and you discovered you could survive without the very people you once thought were oxygen. That realization changes a man. It makes him quieter, colder, but stronger. I don't hate them, I thank them. Because without their absence, I would still be chasing approval instead of chasing growth. I would still be negotiating my worth instead of protecting it. They left. I leveled up. And if you're in that dark place right now, good. Stay there long enough to rebuild. Not for revenge, not to prove a point, but because one day you'll look back at the moment they walked away and realize it was the exact moment you started becoming unstoppable. The silence didn't disappear overnight. It sat with me, at the edge of my bed, on the cold floor beside my shadow. It watched me breathe through nights that felt longer than they should have been. Nights where the ceiling looked like an endless sky and I felt small, painfully small. I would open my mouth to speak, but the words felt too heavy, like stones resting on my tongue. You don't understand what it does to a man when he realizes he was never truly held, only tolerated. That realization cuts deeper than betrayal. I replayed every moment, every smile, every "I'm proud of you," and I wondered which ones were real. There's a specific kind of pain that doesn't scream. It doesn't demand attention. It just settles inside your bones and makes everything slower. Your walk, your voice, your trust. I moved differently after that. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. When you lose people you built your world around, you either collapse into bitterness or you build something they can't recognize anymore. I chose to build, but it wasn't glamorous. There were mornings I had to drag myself out of bed like I was lifting a corpse. The corpse of who I used to be. The soft version, the hopeful version, the version that believed loyalty was always returned. I buried him quietly, and in his place, ye carved discipline. While they were moving on, I was moving inward. While they were replacing me, I was replacing my weaknesses. Every tear became fuel. Every lonely meal became reflection. Every unanswered message became clarity. You see, when you stop chasing people, you start chasing potential. I stopped asking, why wasn't I enough? And started asking, what can I become? That question saved me, because growth doesn't require applause. It requires isolation. It requires swallowing pride. It requires waking up when no one is watching and pushing forward when no one cares. They left, but they unknowingly gave me the greatest gift, detachment. I no longer fear abandonment because I survived it. And when a man survives the loss of what he thought he needed, he becomes dangerous in the quietest way possible. Not reckless, not loud, but unshakable. So if you're standing in that same darkness, barely able to speak through the weight in your chest, listen carefully. This is not the end of you. This is the removal of what was limiting you. Let the pain refine you. Let the silence strengthen you. Let the absence reveal your power. They left, and you are still here, breathing, building, becoming. That's not weakness, that's evolution. Forces you to sit with truths you avoided. Forces you to sit with truths you avoided when you still had company to distract you. Growth is not a celebration. it is an autopsy of your old self. I had to dissect my weakness. Why did I tolerate less than I deserved? Why did I confuse attention with loyalty? Why did I offer oceans to people who handed me drops? Those questions burned. But I stayed. I stayed in the fire long enough to stop blaming them and start confronting myself. That is the part nobody talks about. It is easy to say, they betrayed me. It is harder to admit. I ignored the signs because I feared being alone. Loneliness used to terrify me. Now it trains me. When you sit alone long enough, you begin to hear your own thoughts without interference. You realize how much of your identity was built around being needed, around being chosen, around being validated. When that disappears, you feel invisible. And invisibility hurts. But invisibility also frees you. No expectations, no performance, no pretending, just you. And the raw version of who you are when no one is clapping. That is where I rebuilt, brick by brick. I strengthened my discipline when my emotions were unstable. I worked when motivation was gone. I improved when nobody believed I would. I learned to speak less and observe more. I stopped announcing my plans. I started executing them. Pain sharpened my focus. Every memory that once made my chest tighten became a reminder. Never depend on external stability. Build internal strength so solid that departure no longer destroys you. They thought I would break. I bent. And bending taught me flexibility. Now when someone walks away, I do not chase. I do not collapse. I do not negotiate my value. I nod once, and I continue forward. Because my worth is no longer tied to who stays. It is tied to who I am becoming. You must understand something. Leveling up is not revenge. It is transcendence. It is waking up one day and realizing you no longer crave closure. You no longer need explanations. You no longer replay conversations at 3 in the morning. You outgrow the pain, not because it vanished, but because you expanded beyond it. And when you expand beyond what hurt you, you reclaim your power. They left. I leveled up, not to prove them wrong, but to prove to myself that my foundation does not crumble when people exit. If you feel shattered right now, breathe. Do not rush the transformation. Stay in the silence until it stops scaring you. Stay in the dark until your eyes adjust. Stay in the loneliness until it becomes strategy instead of suffering. One day, you will stand taller, quieter, calmer. And when they look back, they will not recognize the man you became. Not because you changed for them, but because you changed for survival. And survival turned into strength. Strength, when it is born from abandonment, carries a different weight. It is not the loud kind that seeks validation. It is not the fragile kind that needs reassurance. It is the quiet kind, the kind that stands still while everything else moves. There was a time when their absence echoed like thunder in my chest. Now it feels like distant weather. I remember it, I acknowledge it, but it no longer controls my climate. That is the difference. When you level up, you don't erase the past. You outgrow its grip. I stopped asking why they left. I started asking why I stayed as long as I did. That question changed everything, because sometimes the real betrayal isn't what others did. It's how long we tolerated it. I tolerated half effort, half love, half truths, because I was afraid of having nothing. But nothing is powerful. Nothing forces you to build something real. In the emptiness, I discovered discipline. In the silence, I discovered focus. In the loneliness, I discovered standards. I no longer negotiate my boundaries just to keep someone comfortable. I no longer shrink my ambitions to avoid intimidating fragile egos. They left, and I stopped shrinking. You see, pain either makes you desperate or deliberate. I chose deliberate. I began moving with intention, speaking with purpose, giving less access, protecting my energy like it was sacred, because it is. Time is sacred. Attention is sacred. Peace is sacred. And once you taste peace that is self-built, you will never trade it for chaotic affection again. There is something powerful about knowing you can stand alone. Not because you want to, but because you can. That realization changes your posture, your tone, your eyes. You no longer seek permission to exist loudly or quietly. You simply exist fully. They thought losing them would weaken me. Instead, it removed my dependence. I am not colder. I am clearer. Clear about who deserves access. Clear about what I will not tolerate. Clear about the fact that not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people are lessons disguised as love. And when the lesson ends, so do they. If you are in the middle of that ending right now, hear me. Do not chase ghosts. Do not beg for crumbs. Do not confuse attachment with destiny. Sometimes people leave because your next level requires lighter baggage. It hurts. It will always hurt. But pain is not a sign to stop. It is a signal to evolve. They left, and you are still breathing, still thinking, still capable. That means the story is not over. It is only beginning. One day, you will look at the version of yourself that cried in the dark, barely able to form words, and you will thank him, because he endured the A memory slips through the cracks. A song. A memory slips through the cracks. A song. A place. A certain hour of the night when the world goes quiet and your thoughts grow louder. The past does not vanish. It fades into the background like an old scar. Scars do not hurt forever, but they remind you. They remind you of the version of yourself that endured impact and survived it. They remind you that you once thought the pain would swallow you whole, and it didn't. That realization builds a different kind of confidence. Not arrogance, certainty. Certainty that if it happens again, you will survive again. Certainty that your foundation is no longer built on borrowed presence. Certainty that you can stand alone without collapsing. I used to fear being alone at the table. Now I understand that solitude is sometimes the price of self-respect. When you stop tolerating half-effort, you lose people. When you stop accepting excuses, you lose people. When you raise your standards, you lose people. And that is not tragedy, that is filtration. The truth is, not everyone can grow with you. Some were only meant to walk beside the old version of you. When you evolve, you outpace them. It is not personal, it is alignment. I no longer shrink to fit rooms that cannot contain my ambition. I no longer dilute my intensity to make others comfortable. If my focus intimidates them, they are free to step aside. Because leveling up is not about impressing anyone. It is about becoming disciplined enough that your life reflects your potential. You cannot do that while begging someone to stay. So I stopped begging. I stopped explaining why I deserved better. I stopped defending my boundaries. I stopped trying to convince people of my value. Value does not need validation. It needs consistency. I became consistent in my habits, in my silence, in my work. And slowly, the man in the mirror changed. His eyes carried less desperation. His posture held more control. His voice, though still quiet, no longer trembled under the weight of doubt. He had been through abandonment, and he had rebuilt. You will reach that point, too. One day you will wake up and notice you haven't checked for their presence in a while. You will realize your happiness no longer depends on their recognition. You will see that your progress continued regardless of who applauded. That is when you understand. They were not your foundation. You were. They left. But you remained. And that is the most important detail of this entire story. You remained. You breathed through the collapse. You stood up when your chest felt hollow. You moved forward when your voice felt weak. That is strength. Not loud speeches, not dramatic revenge, but quiet persistence. So let them talk about the old you. Let them remember the version who waited, who hoped, who overgave, that man is gone. In his place stands someone refined by silence, sharpened by solitude, and strengthened by loss. They left, you leveled up, and the world will feel the difference, even if you never say a word. Strength has a strange way of forming. It doesn't arrive like a storm. It doesn't crash through your life with applause and recognition. It grows slowly, quietly, like roots pushing through concrete. You don't even notice it at first. You only notice the weight becoming lighter. There was a time I checked my phone, hoping for their name. Now silence does not shake me. There was a time I replayed memories, searching for proof that it was real. Now I accept that some chapters were lessons disguised as love. Do you know what truly changes a man? It is not success. It is not money. It is not validation. It is abandonment survived. When you survive being left behind, something inside you hardens, not into cruelty, but into clarity. You begin to see patterns. You begin to understand energy. You begin to feel when someone is temporary, and you stop investing eternity into people who operate on convenience. That shift is powerful. Because once you detach from the need to be chosen, you start choosing yourself. I built routines when my heart felt unstable. I trained my mind when my emotions were chaotic. I replaced overthinking with execution. Every hour that used to be spent analyzing why they left became an hour invested into growth. Gym sessions when I felt empty. Books when I felt confused. Silence when I felt reactive. Discipline became my therapy. You must realize this. Pain can either make you desperate or deliberate. Desperate men beg for attention. Deliberate men build value. I chose to build. And the more I built, the less I cared who left. Because when your focus is on elevation, departure becomes irrelevant. You start understanding something deeper. Not everyone who leaves is meant to stay. Not everyone who promises loyalty understands sacrifice. Not everyone who smiles at you is aligned with your destiny. Sometimes removal is protection. At first it feels like loss. Later it feels like alignment. You look back and realize that their absence created space. Space for ambition. Space for reflection. Space for a stronger identity. Had they stayed, maybe you would have remained comfortable. Comfort kills evolution. Pain demands transformation. I no longer fear being misunderstood. I no longer over-explain my silence. If someone cannot see my value, I let them pass. Because the strongest version of you does not chase visibility. He attracts respect. You will notice something as you grow. Your circle becomes smaller. Your tolerance becomes thinner. Your standards become higher. And some people will call you cold. Let them. They do not understand what it took to rebuild your foundation. They did not sit in the dark with you. They did not feel the weight in your chest when words refused to come out. They did not witness the nights you almost broke but chose to breathe instead. Growth is lonely, but loneliness is temporary. Weakness is permanent if you surrender to it. So if you are still in that stage where the pain feels fresh, do not numb it. Feel it. Study it. Let it carve you. Because one day you will wake up and realize the ache is gone. Not because you forgot them, but because you outgrew the version of yourself that needed them. And that is leveling up. You do not become louder. You become sharper. You do not become bitter. You become selective. You do not become heartless. You become disciplined with your heart. They left, and in doing so, they unknowingly removed the ceiling above your head. You are not limited by who stays. You are defined by how you rise when they go. So rise quietly. Rise intentionally. Rise so high internally that external departure no longer threatens your stability. And when someone new enters your life, they will not meet the wounded version of you. They will meet the refined one, the one forged in absence, the one who survived silence, the one who learned that being left behind is sometimes the beginning of becoming unstoppable.